What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1.
And today we're back at it after fully cleansing our palates by sneezing to answer your questions in another enticing episode of For the Greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get those questions first. Which is what Valletta Petra Sinera did. Sinera? He says, biscuits and gravy. Last week, we asked you guys what your favorite breakfast or your breakfast of champions is, and biscuits and gravy. You know what? Biscuits and gravy, I think that's a really good choice.
Yeah.
But his question is, which Xenos is more dangerous in your opinion? Tyranids or the Necrons? Also, Alchemist. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Tyranids y Necrons.
I would have to give it to the Tyranids.
I'll go Necrons.
So the reason that I think Tyranids are more dangerous is because we don't really know the full scope of the invasion. Mm-hmm. Although, like in Battlefleet Gothic, like the trailers for that and all that kind of stuff, you do see the tendrils of the Hive Fleet, and they are massive. Like they encompass the entire galaxy.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
So it seems like this is just the first wave of many to come. The Tyranids, they're moving slightly slower than was expected, but now we have like 3 or 4 major hive fleets and then a bunch of tendrils.
Yeah, not just that, but you have the Gene Stealer cults to think about, and that's a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. They've been seated here for the longest time, since like the 35th millennium, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe even before that.
Yeah, with like the Loch Ness Monster and all that.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
It's just funny to think Bigfoot being a Tyranid. Like, how? That'd be cool to have like an army of like Sasquatches and Yetis and stuff.
It's called Orcs.
It's called Age of Sigmar, because they do have Yetis in
with the iron thingies. What are they called?
Iron Jaw ogres or whatever.
The ogre guys, yeah. So you said Necrons?
Yeah, Necrons. Because when you think about Necrons, you think of what they currently are. Soulless metallic bodies. But back in their heyday, they were a force to be reckoned with, able to compete alongside the freaking old ones. They managed to imprison gods like the Catan and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're already a threat right now. Imagine what they could do if they got their bodies back.
Yeah.
Or they found a new vessel, a stronger vessel than before. And now they've got the power of the Catans, their technology, the Silent King. I think it's going to be too much for anybody to handle, including the Tyranids.
Yeah. The thing about the Necrons is, though, that they're awakening. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, like when they do get together and they do something crazy, kind of like the whole Pariah Nexus scenario, where they are actually shutting off the warp. Mm-hmm. They're just disconnecting the veil between the immaterium and real space to the point where it doesn't just nullify psychic beings, which is like everybody has some psychic presence, mm-hmm. but it like just completely numbs people, like shuts off the lights on people.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with that is that it's extremely powerful, but it's getting the attention of the Chaos Gods. It's getting the attention of like the Inquisition. So like basically all eyes are now on the Necrons. Mm-hmm. Whereas with the Tyranids, it's just kind of like they're still animalistic, and there's still a sense of like underestimating their power. And I think there is danger in underestimating the Tyranids.
Yeah, for sure. Look at Calgar.
Yeah.
He lost 3 limbs against the Stormlord?
Yeah.
He should have died.
Should have.
Mm-hmm. But no, he's got blue power armor, meaning they will never die.
And then there's a follow-up. He says, also, Alchemist, the Ordo Hereticus would like to have the Order Familius check you. Are you who you say you are? My imperial justice balance is in... No, he says, may imperial justice balance in all things. The Emperor protects. He doesn't believe that you are who you say you are.
Well, I am whatever you say I am. Because if I wasn't, then why would I say I am?
Damn.
Spitting verses. Hashtag Marshall Matters. Hashtag Eminem. Hashtag Slim Shady. Hashtag Stan.
That's deep.
I don't know. Am I me? I was missing for a while, but now I'm back.
That's also a song,
Hashtag
isn't
Logic.
it? Damn, you're quoting everybody. Logic retired?
He did. Give it 2 years and he'll be back.
Probably.
I mean, look at Jay-Z. He retired, but he's still doing stuff. So.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And Logic is cute. So.
That's not what I would describe him as. He has a weird head.
It's called cute in our culture.
Weird headness.
Mm-hmm. Because I learned that like people in the South usually are like, oh, bless his soul or bless her soul when they like refer to somebody that they think of like, oh, I don't want to deal with you.
Oh, so you're insulting him by calling him cute, you're saying?
Is it an insult?
Well, I mean, bless his heart is an insult in the South.
But did I bless his heart?
I don't know.
Did
you?
I said he cute.
Well, I don't know. I'm lost now.
You guys answer for me. Is Logic cute? Let me know.
Logically.
Logically?
Yeah. This question comes from Shavra Cobain. Is it possible for Guevesas in the Tau Empire to be so exalted that he or she is allowed to pilot a battlesuit?
I think it would be... Well, I don't know, because piloting a battlesuit is seen as like a great honor. So I think it is possible, but unlikely. Because like Guevesa are usually put in the front lines. They're kind of like the cultists. You put them in the front to protect your better units.
However, do you think, like, is it physically possible for him, or like a human, to pilot a battlesuit?
I'd say so.
Okay.
Because like the way the integration is, it's like you have like a mental integration, and they can pump like stimulant injectors into you. So yeah, I think it's highly doable.
But it's not like the Space Marines where like a Tau can't be a Space Marine because it's not the organs
the
don't
gene
work.
suit and all that. No, as far as I know, they haven't said otherwise. We've never seen or even heard of a Guevesa battlesuit pilot, at least not a named one. So as of right now, it seems likely, but it's not. It's not a thing yet.
Next question.
This one is by Connor Motzinger. In the Astartes video, part 5, when the Space Marines are all being sucked into the warp by the entity they are trying to capture and destroy, if a librarian were there, is there a way that he could have helped them and stopped the entity from taking his brothers into the warp? I mean...
Maybe.
Maybe?
We don't really know what the power was that was sucking them in, how hard they were sucking, what motion it was taking them into.
Where they were getting sucked to. Like, we saw the end result, but we don't know where that's at.
Oh, that's true. But yeah, librarians, I mean, they're strong, but are they strong enough for whatever? Because what if it was a demon prince or something? There's more questions than answers, and that's what we love about that series.
The ambiguity. But I don't know. It's also depends on the discipline that the psyker knows. Because just because you're a really strong psyker, you could be strong in like the sanctic discipline, but maybe you needed like a pyromancy discipline to undo the sucking. Yeah. So it depends.
Yeah. Also, there's been another cinematic like short thing. I think it's called Exodite. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but just type in 40K Exodite. And like the first teaser trailer was a space wolf. The second one, I think it was Tau, which was pretty cool.
I gotta check that one out. I'm not familiar with that.
I don't see it getting as much attention as like Astartes, but it seems really good. It seems really promising.
Astartes was trending at one point. That's crazy.
Worldwide. This next question comes from Last Burn. How would you go about changing weapons on a completely painted Space Marine?
You gotta be careful. Because I think no matter what, you're gonna like chip it.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I'll just buy a new model. There
or
was
just proxy.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. Proxying is a good option. I was watching the Q&A for Miniac, and he was saying that I think somebody asked him like, how often do you go back to models that you stopped painting? And he says he never goes back to models after they're done painting because it's supposed to be like a timeline. Like I painted this model this period, so then he can go back later on and reflect on like, well, this is what I used to be like a year later, this is what I used to be like. And it's kind of like
a timeline.
Yeah. So I think you should kind of take it that way too. But just because you're asking, you could always just, it really depends on what type of gun, because most of the time the bolter is already attached
to the hand.
So what you would do is you would just clip the from the wrist, and then also clip from this wrist, and then switch out the wrists.
Mm-hmm. Probably magnetizing it would be your best option.
Mm-hmm. Also green stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Really get comfortable with playing around with green stuff. The trick to green stuff is just making sure that you're wet. Super wet.
Oh, that's my trick.
Yeah.
I'm always wet.
Yeah, because otherwise it starts sticking to your finger, and then you start leaving the fingerprints on the thing
stuff, yeah.
And then it gets annoying, and then you get mad, and you start hitting the mini like that, and yeah.
And before you know it, you've got a lot more green stuff to do than you want it to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Or just proxy.
Just proxy.
That's the poor man's green stuff / magnets.
That's true.
Yeah, unless you're going to like tournaments, then you have to go WYSIWYG.
Do you really? That's stupid.
Mm-hmm. I think tournaments are like 100% like official models. You can't like pose them differently. They have to have the war gear that you say they have.
Damn.
At least official ones that I know of.
Damn. I don't want to play competitively anymore. It's not because I suck. It's because of that.
Are you going into the warp?
Yeah.
Are you getting sucked?
I'm getting sucked. Next question.
This one is by D Stonks 333. Could the Primarchs be placed into a Dreadnought if they were injured badly enough? And what about the Emperor? So I think if they could put the Emperor into a Dreadnought, they probably would have. It's just that he was close to death. The Golden Throne was the closest life support system they could do, and that's why he's there. I mean, technically they could build around the throne and have like a Dreadnought body around it, but I think he'd be doing too much, because he'd be powering the Astronomicon, keeping chaos away from Terra, guiding people, plus piloting a Dreadnought. Like, that's like, you're asking too much.
Yeah, I do also feel like it's a waste. It's like putting the Emperor's body into a Dreadnought that's supposed to be for a Space Marine.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, or even a Primarch, but like they're not. It just doesn't fit, I guess.
Right. Same thing for a Primarch. Like, you'd have to build a special Dreadnought.
Yeah, in order just to like, because otherwise you're bringing them down. Like it's a power level up here, and the Dreadnought's going to bring them down to here. So they're restricted because of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, it'll keep them alive. I guess that's technically Guilliman's armor. It's a life support armor that's keeping him alive.
Yeah. So he's a Dreadnought kind of already.
Yeah, kind of. Cop out.
Cop out. Next question. This one comes from the Lucky Dragon. Hi again, guys. My question is there a universe in the fandom that could stand against the Imperium of Man? My bet is StarCraft.
That's a good one. But I think My Little Pony's got you beat.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I think the Imperium itself is difficult to beat just because it's like the entire galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think of other galaxy-spanning organizations, and they're not as numerous.
Right.
Halo, I don't feel like doesn't have the numbers. What StarCraft, I don't know too much about.
You got like the Zerg, and they basically have Space Marines.
Yeah, I think that's the closest thing.
Yeah,
I can't think of anything right now.
Star Wars.
I don't feel like Star Wars could beat 40K.
Star Trek.
Definitely can't beat 40K.
Guerra de las Galaxias.
No puede ganarle a 40K.
40K.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys can think of one, let us know.
Other than StarCraft, because obviously it's just a copycat. Who came first, the chicken or the egg?
Both.
No, it was actually the egg. The egg came first.
Who laid it?
The whatever was before the chicken. So it's like a male chickpea and
chickpea.
I don't know what two birds made love to create a chicken. If you know what I mean. Bill Nye the Science Guy. answered this, and so did Neil deGrasse Tyson. So it's not just me coming up with bullshit. It's them coming up with bullshit.
Guardian Forever has asked, looking back, do you guys feel that the Primaris lore was worthwhile and or truly necessary for justifying the changes to true scale? Or in other words, with physics changing in every direction, is the move to true scale something that even needed to be acknowledged by the lore at all?
Yes and no. Like, I think it would have been okay if GW was just like, no, you guys are getting new models. But I think the fact that we were getting Primaris Marines, so we can not only just play like the new Primaris units alongside the old Marines, I think that was cool. Otherwise, it would have felt like yes, the Primaris are just well, not the Primaris, but these new Space Marines are taking over the old Space Marines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think no matter what, there's going to be a schism between the fan base. Because on one side, it's like, awesome, real cool-looking models. But on the other side, it's like, well, shit, like, what happens to my 30-year-old, like, second edition Space Marine models?
Yeah. And I think that we're at the point right now where they are not going away, especially with the new rules. Mm-hmm. Now there's like a sense of comfort knowing that if you had an old army of Space Marines, of old Space Marines, you could still play them on the tabletop.
Yeah, and they're going to be better now with 2 wound Marines and weapons that do better damage and whatnot. So.
And you feel like a whole new, like you could play 2 different armies essentially. Mm-hmm. Like if you're a Space Marine player, the Primaris Marines are another faction outside of Space Marines, based on like the models that you collect, which I think is awesome because now you do have like that option of having this and this. Mm-hmm. But yeah, one more last question. Do you have one?
I do actually, and this one is by Simon Teese. If a battle company of one of the lost Primarch legions arrived on Earth, what would happen to them? I assume by Earth you mean Terra. Well, first of all, there's a lot of barriers and like areas put in place to allow them not to just show up on Terra. Like you got like blockades and stuff to go through. So even before they set foot on it, they're already going to be questioned. And I think the Inquisition would probably gather them and like kind of either keep them hush hush or depending on what the narrative behind their coming back would be. It really depends. Either they're going to get blown up and shot off to hell, or they'll be like, oh, you guys are going to be the secret force of the Inquisition. Like, you guys know knowledge that shouldn't be let out, so you guys got to work in the shadows.
Yeah, I think it would be cool, like, even if they were detected, like, on their way to Terra, because then it becomes a situation of, like, all these different organizations of the Imperium are trying to get to them before the other ones, just so that they can figure out. Like, I'm pretty sure the Imperial Fist will send out somebody, because it's like, no, those are our battle brothers. Like, we need to know. The Adeptus Mechanicus would send out, like, fleets to go investigate them, because that's old technology, basically.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the Inquisition would be interested. So I think it would be a really good story, but also a dangerous story in the sense that GW would reveal more of the Lost Legions, and I don't think they should do that. I really think they should stay ambiguous.
That's the word of the for the
That's
Greater
the word
Walls.
of the day.
Ambiguity. But I think the most interesting concept would be like if they do somehow just show up on Terra. I think the person they would want to speak to is probably mi tío Miguel, because they came all this way to try his like tacos asada.
I know.
And his barbacoa, so.
It's one of those situations like, well, ya llegué, yeah.
A comer, ya se ha dicho.
And those are the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is Gershwan,
the Sound Alchemist, and we are out.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.